In this podcast, we'll chat about the win against West Brom, how have Boro fared up so far this season, and answer your podcast questions. This is the Boro Breakdown podcast, and this is like a Boro Matchday Chatter in a pod.
Support. Curtis Fleming is there on the edge of the area. Fleming for Craig Hignett. Hit it, Higgy. Higgy hits the treble!
Avenelli coming alive again. Janino wants the ball played to him. Avenelli spots out Emerson!
Hello and welcome to the Boro Breakdown podcast with Jonny, Dana and Matt. We are the Boro podcast that gives you all of Boro Matchday Chatter in a podcast. And Boro send the Boro fans home happy with 3 points, a courtesy of a Morgan Rogers goal. And also, Boro are now 11th in the championship table and very, very, very close to the playoff places. But who isn't close to the playoff place at this point in the championship? It's only 5 points separating 5th and 15th in the division. But guys, West Brom 1-0. Dana, how would you assess the performance today?
I honestly think that it's probably my favourite performance of the season. Certainly the best since Sunderland away, but obviously there was circumstances there whereby obviously they were down to 10 men. And I think, let's be honest, it did play into our hands in that match. But I just really, really love wins like that, where there was a little bit of a siege mentality in that second half, because obviously we all know that Boro are up against it. You could see that with the front four that we put out. We had no recognised number 9, and I just like wins like that, where we all knew that it was going to be a bit of a stodgy game. We knew that it wasn't going to be an open, free-flowing, attacking affair, because we know what Carlos Corberán teams are like. They set up really well defensively, and he's done a number on us quite a few times. I'm glad that we have done a number on him this time. It was a performance that really made me proud of Boro. I absolutely love games like that, where maybe we're not the best in front of goal. We did have our chances and we didn't take them. We weren't at our most ruthless, but I love when Boro really dig deep, and that second half was just a fantastic team performance. So yeah, I'm really, really, really happy with that. There was so many positives to take from it, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And Matt, you know, we spoke a lot about the injuries that Boro have, those 14 players in midweek that we were looking at and saying who's in, who's out. So given the list that we have, and you know, there's some players coming back, there's a lot came back today, like McGree, Coburn, Vandenberg as well. And how big of a win was that, do you think, for Boro, especially against the sides who are up there in the playoff places as well?
I think it's up there with one of the biggest wins of the season. I was worried I might be a little bit reactionary in saying that, but I'm glad Dana sort of agrees that it's probably up there with one of the biggest results of the season. I think given the context of the injuries we have, the opposition we were up against, they were 5th, or might still be 5th, but they're up there for a reason. The injuries, as you say, in a period of the season where I think we've got 4 games in the next 12 days or something, absolutely. It might even be less than that. I think it's massive because, as you say, it's so tight in the middle of the table at the moment. And given this 4-game spell, you could, on a good run, you could find yourselves comfortably in the playoffs come the end of this 4-game run. Equally, if you go off on a bit of a bad run of form and you don't get anything from the 4 games, we could find ourselves miles off. And I think we would have been 9 points off West Brom had we lost. So to close the gap and half it and obviously be 3 points behind them, that was massive. So I think not just the result, but I think the performance as well was really good. I think often we sometimes say just the result is what matters with the number of players we've got out, but I was really impressed by the performance on top of the result today as well. I thought second half we were fantastic in terms of maintaining our lead. I was really worried the sucker punch might inevitably be coming given the number of chances we missed, but I think the atmosphere was absolutely fantastic. The siege mentality, as Dana mentioned, I think it helped because I felt like the referee was against us. It felt like everything was leading up to that West Brom sucker punch. So to come away with the 3 points, given the injuries we've had, closing that gap and keeping in touch with the playoffs, it could be, when we look back on it, one of the biggest wins of the season, in my opinion.
Yeah, we talk about turning points, don't we? And you can always feel those type of results, and it felt like a massive one today, didn't it? I thought we were excellent. I really did. You know how it connected. The front four was connected today and really interchangeable and caused them a lot of problems. But also, I want to mention like West Brom as well. I was really disappointed with them today, to be honest. I thought that the high line and their game plan of let's play this high line, let's try and turn the ball over in Boro's half, and try and play the ball through to Santi, and it just didn't work. It really just didn't work. They got that final ball wrong every time, and it was a bit too quick in my opinion. And I thought West Brom looked more dangerous today when they were able to get the foot on the ball, play around the back line, and try to get the ball in and behind Boro, but they just didn't do it. They're very, very poor, and that saying of the quicker you get the ball forward, the quicker it comes back to you. And it was right. They gave Boro possession back really, really quickly. And when we were in possession, we were really strong. We created plenty of chances. I could have probably killed Greenwood and Isaiah Jones today for the chances that they missed. But overall, it was a really, really strong display from us, and it was nice to see something different, especially around that front four as well. Because then it was Silvera, Jones, Greenwood, Rogers, and my dog in the background is going to cause havoc in a second, courtesy of being live. Us at the moment, but they caught Rogers, Greenwood, Jones, and Silvera caused them a load of problems today. Would you like to kind of see that more often? I know without the recognised striker, but the interplay was really, really good, right?
Yeah, you know what? I think I would, and maybe not that exact quartet, but say for example, you put Latte Lath in there instead of Silvera. Latte Lath, I think, can be dangerous in other areas of the pitch. We saw his goal against Leeds. He was kind of in that half space on the left side, wasn't he? Between the
Mm.
left back and the left centre half, and he cut inside and he obviously unleashed that shot and scored. So I think Latte Lath could be dangerous out wide, not in the sense of like creating chances and putting in crosses. But if you do have that interchanging link up and combinations between that front four with him kind of spearheading it, should we say, being the furthest forward, to start with, I think could be good for us. I know that maybe Borough fans want a target man per se, someone that can really make the ball stick, but we've got a lot of really gifted technical footballers that are quite quick and clever as well in their combinations and the spaces on the pitch that they pick up. So yeah, it was an interesting one. It was obviously something that I think Carrick had to do because having no recognised number 9, there's no point in trying to pigeonhole Sammy Silvera as that number 9. So yeah, it was interesting, and I'm not 100% mad at it, to be honest. I think it's another tactical implementation that Carrick has put in there that kind of paid off.
Yeah, and you find when you have a lot of injuries, you find a system or a certain way of
Mm.
playing that can work, and you can implement that. We looked at the Bangor and Engel conversation or positions over the last couple of weeks. We've looked in different players and how they can fit into the system. And when we go back then, I think maybe to the start of the season, we were reviewing the lowdowns and we looked at Boro's recruitment strategy this year. It was all about adaptability and trying to bring in players who could play multiple positions and were interchangeable, create teams a lot of issues. And I think that was kind of a beauty of today where it showed that that can potentially be a strength. And hopefully the recruitment is starting to come good as well. I looked at Rogers today and I thought he was excellent. And every time I see him, I always think there's just something about him where I think one, you really excite me, but two, if you could just be a little less rash, I think sometimes you could have the potential to be a really, really solid player. And it's just nice when things come together. But there was a player yesterday, today, sorry. I always say yesterday because I'm used to recording the day after. But my player today, Sam Silvera, he hasn't really had much of a chance over the last few weeks and probably most of the season. And really, it's been quite difficult for him, I think, adapting probably to the championship. But he's slowly started to find his form, isn't he?
Yeah, you mentioned injuries can often you can stumble across hidden gems or a system or a way of playing that you maybe wouldn't have bothered trying. And I think that's the one positive of an injury crisis like this. You get players in who get that opportunity, get a run of games, and yeah, I think Silvera's definitely improving. I think you can say the same about a lot of the boys across that front line who we've brought in who can interchange across the the attacking positions, and I'm delighted for him because he was the player I was the most excited for after pre-season. I think the performances in pre-season, the number of goal contributions he was getting, I was really, really optimistic for him. And I think maybe arguably at the start of the season, because he was maybe being shoehorned in a little bit too early, having to start games when I thought he could have been better as an impact player. He's now had time to bed in, and he's now had a run of games where he's been able to come in a little bit more gradually. And it's been coming. I think over the last few games, he's more than warranted a starting place on the right over Isaiah Jones, and maybe as well on the left in competition with Greenwood and Rodgers. So I'm delighted for him. I think it's a little bit ironic that just when we think he's hitting his stride, he's gonna bugger off to the Asian Cup in a few weeks. But yeah, as long as he comes back, maybe full of even more confidence, maybe his form's even better, and he comes back with a full bill of health, full fitness, he can pick up from where he left off. But I think it's only more praise for the recruitment team, the fact that we've got so many players who can interchange different positions. And again, this is a Boro side who, are riddled with injuries. These players probably wouldn't be starting week in, week out had we not had the injuries. So I think this really shows how good the signings have been in terms of squad depth as well, that we can rely on these boys to come in and do a job. So yeah, I'm delighted for Sammy, and I hope he can continue his form, come back from the Asian Cup, and keep being an important part of this team.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of good performances today. I think when I look at Twitter and across social media, there's different players getting man of the matches from different people. But so it'd be good to kind of get some notable mentions out of you, to be honest, to see like who was the best player today you thought, or who were the good players, or who you thought just stood out at times. So Dan, who was your notable mention today?
It has to be Dan Barlaser. I thought he was absolutely excellent, particularly in that first half. And something that we haven't really seen from him, he's not really renowned for this, but his ability to dribble past players today was really, really good. There were a few times where he dusted the West Brom player, be it midfielder or attacker. He just swept it beyond them, kept it ticking, played really positive balls in behind, as we know from him. And I really enjoyed his performance. He's been criticised a little bit of late, well, quite a lot actually of late. But I really like that we've got Dan Barlaser. I'd much rather us have him than another team, because he's just a really positive midfield player. And I think there is parts of his game that do need to be improved, particularly defensively. But I appreciate that he is a very creative player, and he did control that game. I think Michael Carrick said it afterwards. He did control the tempo of that game. And I think typically we kind of see Howson do that, but it was actually Dan Barlaser that stepped up today and took that responsibility. And I think he really shone in midfield. So credit to him. I thought he was fantastic. And then Dijksteel in that second half, obviously, because I'm in the East Stand, he was on my side. I think I just magnified to him. And I mean, I like Dijksteel, but I think that probably owing to his injury, obviously picked up that injury in pre-season and missed a big part of it. I think all of it wasn't, didn't he? I think that kind of impacted him this season. His performances haven't been as strong, but defensively, I thought he was spot on in that second half, linking up with Jones as well. I mean, to be fair, there's so many players that you can mention. I am just going to spotlight those two, but I will say that the whole team deserve a mention, because all over the pitch, I thought people were, they did their jobs and they really dug in for one another. So I appreciate that. And I enjoyed that performance because of that very reason, a fantastic team display from all of them.
Yeah. And what do you think, Matt? Who's your notable mention?
It's hard, as you say, to pick out one or two. It's a great feeling to the fact that you've got that. I don't know who to pick because they were all amazing. I think Glover deserves credit. I mean, this is coming from Senny Dieng's #1 fan. I thought Glover made some really crucial saves in the first half at a really important time for us, because I remember saying to you during the game, Jonny, if West Brom went 1-0 up, I just think when it's a Corberan side, they would have made the game really ugly and scrappy, and it would have been really, really tough to get back into that game. So I think he deserves credit for keeping the score 0-0 at that point. I'm going to say Engel. I know you might want to mention him, Jonny, so I'll just drop his name in there. I'll let you maybe mention Engel. I thought he was great. But again, I mean, you could go through the whole team. I think Howson had a great game. His through ball for Greenwood's chance, I thought, was brilliant. Rodgers goes without saying. Barlasser as well. His ball in the lead up to the goal was great. You could go through absolutely everyone. It was just a great display all round, and more of the same. Hopefully, as we go through these run of fixtures over the next week or two.
Yeah, and I think for me, what really benefited Barlasser today is the movement we had across the front four. When I think there's been times, and especially we mentioned it in the podcast a couple of weeks ago around how players are distant maybe from each other. I think Crooks and Laugh, I think just sometimes a bit too far away from each other, and sometimes Greenwood's a bit too far away from them. It hasn't really been clicking as much, and I feel like sometimes when we're static, it shows, and then that shows where Barlasser has to go left and right, and sometimes backwards, and it gets frustrated on a number of accounts for it. But today, having that front four ahead of him and then making those runs, and it was very early on why we were trying to do that, that really benefited Barlasser. And, when we have that, you'll get the best out of him. And on top of that, I would obviously like to mention Lucas. I think he's been fantastic over the last few weeks. His redemption arc from Sheffield Wednesday has been sensational. I remember obviously when we were reviewing him in the lowdown videos, I was looking at him and I was going, he has a lot of good things about him, and I was really positive about him. Maybe I'll give him a 5, right? I give out a 5 out of 5, and look, we can all make mistakes, but I'm not going to say it's a mistake now. I think he's been really, really good, and I think he's just getting better and better and better. And not to mention, Alex Bangura, not only has a fantastic chant as well now, he's a really talented boy, and I would like to see more of him. I just think Engel's been really good and solid over the last few weeks, and maybe we'll see that Bangura Engel partnership when McGree goes off to the Asian Cup. So Asia Cup, and it'd be good to see what we can do. But yeah, for me, Engel, Barlasser, and I would obviously say Rodgers as well. Rodgers for me can be a bit like Marmite. Some love him, some hate him, but you can't deny that he's exciting. I think he's someone in our side who really gets us ticking, and when he's on it, he can be really, really valuable to us. I would just like to see a little bit more quality in January for us to bring in, really tie it all together. But there's nothing saying that we can go on a run come January. But this kind of leads us on to that midway point as well, because we've played 23 games now, 33 points, 3 points off the playoffs, of course. We have 10 and also have 10 wins, 3 draws, and 10 defeats. I also like to mention as well that we've been 8 out of the top 12. So I'll exclude Boro out of that. So we'll put 13th place in Preston. But it was 8 wins out of the against the top 12. So all really positive. But Dana, what are your thoughts on Boro's season so far?
I think we're kind of where we should be, within an arm's reach of the top 6. Obviously 3 points off, well in the mix of teams. I think it's quite open. There's quite a few teams that probably aren't exactly anywhere near perfect, shall we say, but have every opportunity to get into 5th or 6th, probably more 6th than 5th. But yeah, I think we're largely where we should be. We are a team that has a lot of young players, has a lot of injuries, and that will impact the season. I know people don't want to make it or mark it as an excuse. I don't think it's an excuse. I think it's a valid, legitimate reason as to why Boro have maybe been a little bit inconsistent. But I think that our first team, our full strength team, can still be quite inconsistent anyway. But yeah, I think we're basically where we should be. We're a team in development that has really had to endure a little bit of a hangover from last season, given the change around in personnel and options that Michael Carrick has. And I was talking on BBC Tees with Craig Hignett, saying that the team that we have now are downgrades, and it's probably not the right word to use, but hopefully people know what I'm trying to put forward there, that they're not of the same quality. So I think the fact that we are where we are is a good thing. We've got young players that are still developing, and as a team, as a unit, I think we are still developing as well. So I really enjoyed today's performance because it showed what we're capable of, but also with the likes of Hayden Hackney and a fully fit Riley McGree and Marcus Force and Senny Dieng back and God knows whoever else is injured back, then I'm really excited to see what Boro can do. And hopefully with a good January behind us as well, it can just take us up that extra little bit of quality. And let's see where we can go. The sky's the limit for Boro, and I think we've got a lot of potential. And basically our trajectory is very much going up. So yeah, there's exciting times ahead, I think, for us.
Yeah, Matt, what do you think? Where do you think we're at? Because the 8 wins against top half is fantastic. We should have we should have beat Hull as well. So it should be 9. That was definitely a game we threw away. And when you're looking at the Leeds game, we threw away that game as well when we were in a really good position. And does this really show that we can, although that I know Dana was mentioning that we're a silent development, we can still compete at the top?
Yeah, it's typical of Boro, isn't it, that we rise against the big teams and drop points against the lower teams. I still think back to the games against QPR and Huddersfield at home earlier in the season and just think, 6 points, win that, we'd have been comfortably in the playoffs now, and that's on top of the injuries we've had. But I think potential is a big word with this team, and I agree. I think the only way is up for this team. I think the fact that we've had the injuries we've had loads of new players who are young, they've had to bed in, they've had to adapt to the style of play that Michael Carrick wants us to play. I think the fact that we're where we are, 3 points off the playoffs, mid-table, I think is a very good foundation to build upon. And it really excites me, actually, the thought that even though we've had all these injuries, the players that, I guess, a second string team, you could call it, are good enough, I think, to be more than competitive. But our I guess first team, our strong team with McGree, and if we can add a striker to that as well in January, and as you say, knit it all together, this team can only get better. And I think for me, looking at it, I think top 4's gone, but 5th and 6th are up for grabs. And I cannot think of any reason why this Boro team, fully fit, full strength, with a tiny addition of quality, probably I'd say up front in that number 9 position, just to convert the chances and maybe help us overperform going forward. I agree. The sky's the limit. I don't see why we can't just continue to tick over and edge closer to the playoffs. And I don't see why we can't get into the top 6. I think it will be 5th or 6th. I think from then it will be difficult to progress from there. But I think that would be a fantastic finish this season. And if that's the case, it's a great platform to then go into next season. And we forget as well, these are all our players now, which I think is really important. We're not relying on loans. We're not having to let them go back to the parent clubs at the end of the season. So if we can finish strongly this season, even if it's 7th or 8th, it will be obviously disappointing to miss out. But if we can then build upon that for next season, then next season could be really, really exciting. So like Dana said, I'm very excited for the future, and I think the potential of this Boro team is quite something. So yeah, let's just enjoy the ride, see where it takes us.
It's good to have this positive outlook, isn't it? I can't wait for us to get beat by Rotherham on Boxing Day.
And it all comes crumbling down again. It'd be very typical Boro, like the results that you're saying there. We're the most mid-table side ever in it so far, and we've had those changes. We've lost a lot of goals. We've lost quality. We've had to bring players in, bedding them in, injuries. It hasn't really been plain sailing this season, but what I would say is that performances have still been relatively quite good in the grand scheme of things. And you can always see that we have quality in and around the team. When we unlock it, it's brilliant. When it sometimes gets a bit jaded and bit bitty, it's mainly because we lose our tempo and we get a bit static and play it safe, when really this side shouldn't be doing that, and they should keep going with that. And they'll make mistakes, but I'd rather them make the mistakes now, and next year we look at a big thing. But who knows? I'm very excited for post January, because I think we'll bring players in. I think we'll bring permanents in. I'll be very shocked if we brought in a few loans. I think there's probably more permanents and loans that we probably bring in, and we'll keep building. And wherever we end up, and that's a very Michael Carrick saying. But I think I would say that I'd be very happy with a very top 6. I would take it. I would definitely take it. I still believe, and I'm very, very positive, and people might say I'm a bit rose-tinted, and I get it sometimes, but I just think we're building something quite good, and I'm excited by it. It's a good project to have, and hopefully we can get that next step, Dana. And what do you think that next step is for Boro? Like, if you were to get the older magic wand out, as big cliches in football, or if you were to tie things, where do you think that next step is for Boro, though, right, for the season?
Where's the next step? Well, I think just putting ourselves in a good position for January. I think Boro are an attractive prospect for a team anyway, because they have for a potential signing anyway. Sorry, because they've got Michael Carrick in charge, and I think Kieran Scott might have said it in his interview with BBC Tees that he hasn't known as many returned calls as what he saw last season because of Michael Carrick being in charge and Jonathan Woodgate as well. And you've got the Aaron Danks connection. So I think it's definitely getting to a good position just to entice those players a little bit further in January. And within January, I think the positions that we should be looking at, I think we've spoken about it on previous episodes, is a number 9, a number 10, and then probably a right back for me. I'm looking at those 3 positions, but particularly the 2 positions up front, having somebody that can, as we've put it, knit everything together and just add that little bit extra quality in the final third in that number 10 position, I think could be really important. But also having a striker that you can really hang your hat on to finish chances and to be ruthless, I think that could too. But shout out to Lath as well, because he's got a fantastic return so far this season, and you can't knock that. And he's a chaotic striker. Sometimes I think a little bit too quick for his own good, but he's having a strong season considering that he's come from a completely different country, doesn't speak a lick of English. I think I have to give him credit for that. So yeah, the next step is to just put ourselves into a good position, finish the year on a really good note, and then let's see what we can, or how we can finish this season, because I binned my pre-season expectations and predictions like almost instantly as soon as I posted them on Twitter. So like, whatever. I don't have a position in mind where I think Boro will finish. I just want us to finish the season strongly, finish the year strongly, and let's see where we can go. Let's see what we can do with this team, because there's some really good players in this team, really talented individuals. And I think as a collective, playing West Brom today, a really defensively resolute side, and we still created good chances against them. Our XG was over 2. So really good. And yeah, let's see how we can finish this year and go into January, and hopefully have a good January as well, because it's got to be difficult. There's got to be a lot of teams fighting for the same players. So fingers crossed Kieran Scott can pull some good signings out the bag.
Yeah, and I think we'll do it. I think we'll do a lot of deals early as well. I think we'll get things out the way, and hopefully we can build on it. But we have players hopefully coming in January, but we will lose 2. McGree, who has just literally came back today, and I was very excited to see Ryan McGree come on the pitch, and I just thought straight away he showed this quality. He's still a little bit rusty right now, but I think there's next couple of games I'm going to just really enjoy him being around. And we've got Silvera as well coming into form, and then going as well to Australia to the Age Cup. And Matt, is it disappointing to lose McGree? I mean, like we've literally just had him back, and he's going away again.
Yeah, well, I mean, if the conspiracy theorists are to be believed, he's only coming back to go to Australia because he's fell out with Carrick and he wants to leave, and we're selling him in January anyway. Shouldn't have gave that airtime, should I? Yeah, of course, it is disappointing. Of course, it is to lose Riley for a month or whatever it'll be. I think it's just over because I think he has to report for training as soon as it hits New Year, pretty much. So yeah, it obviously is disappointing to lose McGree, but again, I think we've seen over the last 3 months, I think to which he's almost 3 months that he's been injured. We've got plenty of players who can play across the front line, who can come in and step up in that position. So yeah, let's enjoy him while he's here over the next few weeks. We'll help him get fit to hopefully win the Asia Cup, and then he can come back with that confidence and be an absolute world beater in February onwards. But as long as he comes back, fully fit, he doesn't have any recurring injuries or anything like that, he's yeah, I'm more than confident Boro have got the squad depth to deal with that, and then it'll just be another added strength to our ball when he is back in February to help us kick on and hopefully finish the season well after that.
Yeah, that has a lot a lot has been said about him, McGree, going over to the Asia Cup there. What do you make of it all? Like, what do you make of it all? Because there's a lot of club versus country. Yeah, what do you think?
I've just seen so many comments the last day that I just don't agree with. Like, I know we're very Eurocentric over here, but there are other tournaments that exist outside of Europe that are just as important as, say, the Euros. And the Asia Cup seems pretty important. So I think sometimes people expect players to think like fans. Like, of course, if it was club over country, we would pick the Boro, wouldn't we? But Riley McGree is not a Boro fan. So you can't expect him to basically say, nah, you're all right, Australia, I'm going to stay with Middlesbrough. Like, of course he's going to go and represent his country in a big tournament relative to obviously Australia and the Asians. Like, he's obviously going to go there. So, yeah, I mean, well done to him, firstly, because I think it is his first Asia Cup, and Sammy Silvera as well. I think some of the comments are disrespectful. I will say, like, yeah, I know Boro pays wages and stuff, but you cannot expect a player to turn down the opportunity to represent their country in a fairly major tournament. Like, it's just not going to happen the way that fans want it to. So, yeah, I mean, good luck to him. It is a shame for Boro that we are going to lose, in my opinion, our best player from January the 1st till, like, what is it, February or something. He's going to miss a lot of games there. But yeah, like Matt said, like, wish him all the best. Hopefully he does help Australia to win that. I do think that I think it's Japan, they might be the tournament favourites, but Australia should go all the way. So I expect him to miss pretty much all of the games that he is potentially missing. And when you look at the list, but yeah, well done to him and good luck.
And Australia have just been cursed by our official curse of the Ball Breakdown podcast, the Malt curse.
You're welcome, everyone. Sorry, Riley.
Fans, any Socceroos, we're sorry.
Look, it's a fantastic achievement, though, for them both, isn't it? And I was expecting, with the injury to Matt Ryan, I was expecting Glover to go as well. And it was like, oh, God, we could be in a bit of danger here. And I think it's a great achievement for them both. I think playing for your country is an incredible achievement, right? I think whatever you do, whatever competition you play across the world, it's always fantastic and probably bigger than what a club would be. Imagine, saying, "Oh, I don't want to go to the Euros because I fancy playing for Boro instead, against Coventry and Rotherham and all that kind of stuff." So, it's a big achievement. I think and hope that both do really well, because the grand scheme of things, if they have a really good Asia Cup and they're able to maybe get a move past Middlesbrough, we'll only benefit financially. We'll recycle the cash, we'll bring in more players, we'll find the quality. And I believe in what we're doing, and hopefully we can do that as well. But I agree, Ryan McGree's our best player, and to lose him, it's such a shame. And to have lost him for so long this season, I'm a bit down about it. But it is what it is. I think you'll do really well. But before we move on to Rotherham, I've got a couple of questions coming in. One's from David, and he says, "Hello guys, West Brom and Coventry have seemed to have our number under Carrick. Has their style managed to stifle ours in previous meetings? Have Carrick and the coaching team found a formula to get a result in those games after today's win?" And that was via email. So I'll go to you, Matt. I'll go to this one. Do you think that Carrick's slightly tweaked the formula a little bit after today's result?
Maybe. I think, yeah, possibly up front with the interchangeable sort of attacking players that we had, not having a striker might have caught Corberan out. But I think Corberan's a clever enough coach. I think, if anything, he'll be more disappointed in West Brom. I think we deserve credit, absolutely, and I thought we were fantastic, but I don't think West Brom were all that. And I think it changes from season to season. I think when we play Coventry on New Year's Day, it'll be really interesting to see how we get on, because obviously they're a different side to what they were last season. I don't really count the game we had against them earlier in the season, because we were a team not in disarray, but we were still very much trying to find the best formula. And it was just one of them days where Lenihan scores an own goal that goes in the top bin. It was just one of them days, wasn't it, where everything seemed to be going against us. Silvera missed a sitter. So that game could have been very, very different. And I think it's a different West Brom side to the past. It's a different Coventry side to the past. So I think that's a question that's maybe best being answered after New Year's Day. But I would like to think that given the fixtures we've had against them, especially Coventry last season. It really did seem like they had our number. So, I'd like to think we are better equipped now to play them, but they're a different side. So, yeah, we'll see if we can get the better of them and actually score a goal against them on New Year's Day. That'd be nice.
Yeah, well, they are
Low
looking
bar.
better. Yeah, they are looking better, to be fair. Coventry, you know, I think since Callum O'Hare's came in, we talk about players that can really knit a team together. Callum O'Hare coming back for them has really been instrumental in that, and you know they'll slowly start to come good. Their underlying numbers are fairly solid or sound. Have just been very wasteful, and I think they'll come good again probably in the second half of the season. But a couple more questions, more Christmas related, of course, given it is our last podcast until Christmas. And one's from Andrew, and he says, Yorkshire pudding with your Christmas dinner, yes or no? Dana, what are you going to go with? Yeah,
Yeah,
easy.
100%. 100%.
No discussion needed.
Parliament.
Yeah, and then the one from not you, Matt, another Matt, it says, if you could invite one player to yours for Christmas dinner, who would it be and why? I'll keep with you, Matt. Do you know if you could invite one player?
I was thinking of some sort of Matt Crooks joke in there to say he could be the Christmas tree, but that's just too obvious and too bad. I'd have to just invite Senny, just so I could just sit across the table from him and just gaze at him and just tell him how much I think he's the best goalkeeper we've had in absolutely ages and how much I just love him. So yeah, I'm not going to try and be clever about it or make a joke out of it. I just love Senny Dieng. So yeah, Senny.
And then for you, Dana, who are you inviting? I think I know who this is going to be, but who are you
Go on
going to invite?
then. Who is it?
I think it's going to be Crooksy.
It is Crooksy, yeah. Literally everything that Matt said, but just Matt Crooks. I don't care. Like anyone that's listening, you can trash Crooks all you want. I will never trash him. I absolutely love that man. He's literally stuck on his face is stuck on my wall right now. Yeah, I'd invite Crooksy. He's just an absolute gent. And a bit of a hunk, as my mum would say. So yeah, Crooksy for me.
Crooksy, and I'll go with Lucas Engel. You know, just
Obviously.
just to sit him down and kind of say, look, how's you doing going, Lucas? You know, I just to let you know, you might have seen the video, you might not, but I'll give you a 5-star rating. So it'd be good if you continue.
You'll never let that down, will you?
These ratings. Liv's asked us to say she wants Michael Carrick there. My friend,
she does.
Yeah, she does. And I just want to give a quick shout out as well to Jake and to Chris as well, who have been absolutely hammering these comments in as well. Jake is a Newcastle fan. He says he really likes Lewis Miley at the moment, and he fancies Johnny Howson at the moment as well. So congrats to that, Jake. And then shout out to Chris as well, and for that. But we'll move on for questions. Actually, no, we've got one more from Jeff, and he says, who will be top of your tree this Christmas other than Crooksy? It's a tough one. I mean, you know what? I'm going to say you can't pick Dieng, and I can't pick Lucas Engel. I'm going to go first here. I'm going to go Rav van den Berg. I'll put Rav at the top of the Christmas tree. You know, he's been superb this season, and you know, 19-year-old as well, turned into a better and better player. And we haven't even mentioned him today, and I thought he was outstanding. And we didn't even mention him in our little praising moments. And Jake's getting called out in the comments. I love it. But anyway, Matt, who would be top of your Christmas tree?
Oh, that's really difficult. I will put Morgan Rogers on top of my tree. I don't know this new celebration he's doing. I just can imagine getting like some sort of like image of him doing that and plonking him on top of my tree. And plus, he's ascending. His potential. He's on an uphill trajectory. So can I turn it into some metaphor for going up to the top of a tree? I don't know. Yeah, just Morgan Rogers.
We'll accept that.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, Rogers.
And then for you, Dee, who are you gonna put at the top of your Christmas tree apart from Crooksy? Because he does normally go on top of your Christmas tree.
Yeah, he actually does. That's why
he can't go on top of himself. He can't go on top of himself, Johnny. Come on.
Crookception. You know what? I'll probably say Hackney because he's got the best Barnet in the Football League. Like that, I don't even know what's going on here, but I don't know the technical term for it. But fair play to his barber. Like, that is some do. Like, I know they say Cruxy's hair is fine, but Hayden Hackney has one hell of a barnet, let's be honest. So I'll probably put Hackney there. And he's a gifted footballer, I will say that. He's a very good footballer as well.
Johnny, would you not have a certain Frenchman on top of your tree? Because he's got a decent barnet as well.
The strongest hairline. No, the strongest hairline in the EFL. Senny Dieng.
Is it?
I didn't know if you'd want to add a little bit of French, twang to the top of your tree.
I do like Senny, I do. But is he going to be on the Christmas tree? I don't think he is.
He's around my house. He's around my house.
Yeah, well,
with me. He can't be on top of your tree.
He'll save my presents from getting ripped up by Max, and I'll take that. But I think the final question is I was going to say keep saying final question, but more keep flowing in, and it just is Alex Gilbert likely to leave on loan? I would not be shocked if Alex Gilbert left on loan in January. Alex Gilbert. Alain Gilbert. Sorry, Alain Gilbert. That's more like sorry. Just easy, easy when he hasn't played. It's easy just default him to an English player, which he actually is. It's just us actually just turn the piss. But I think he will go out on loan. I think he would suit. I would say he'd probably suit a Plymouth until Schumacher left, but it's not going to happen now. But I think he would go into maybe a League One side and just get game time. And I think it would be good for his development. But let's move on. Rotherham, Boxing Day. A tough place to go, as people say on Boxing Day. Everyone's hungover, probably bad players. And
get those 1963 results out.
Get those,
Boxing Day in 1963.
5-5, 6-3, you name it. But we'll go on to predictions before I round it up, Dana. And what are you thinking? Recently changed managers, of course. They're struggling towards the bottom end of the table. We had a really difficult run at Rotherham a couple of seasons ago, when it was under Karanka and Neil Warnock there as well, when they were struggling for points. So what's your thoughts? What do you think?
Boro win. And I don't mind Rotherham. They're entirely inoffensive to me. But, and this is where I'm probably going to offend Rotherham fans, I just think they're every bit a League One club. So maybe stick that on the telly before they take to the pitch at the New York Stadium. But yeah, I think that Boro will win this one. It really is a shame that it's not at the Riverside, because I absolutely love going to the Riverside on Boxing Day. But I think Boro will win this one. I think we'll be high on confidence and we'll make it difficult for ourselves probably. But I think they're one of the worst teams in the Championship this season. So yeah, incoming defeat probably now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a negative way to end. That's not very Christmassy. Matt, you've been on the search for tickets. You haven't been successful yet.
No.
So if anyone in the comment section have got 2 tickets for Rotherham, please let Matt know, because he is desperate to go. But what is your prediction? Of course, we're gonna go win, draw, defeat, match abandoned. What are you thinking?
Well, I want to just thank Dana for setting up Rotherham's team talk there. That's all the manager will have to show them for the game, and that'll give them the motivation needed. Yeah, it will be tough. We'll make it tough for ourselves. I think an away trip on Boxing Day anywhere is going to be tough. I think anyone would say the same if it was roles reversed and they were coming to the Riverside. And to be fair, if they were coming here, I'd probably back us to win like 4-0 or something, because their away form's terrible. But yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 Boro. I don't think we'll keep a clean sheet, because it's just never that easy. Although Glover, I'm sure, has got a really good record this season when he's played. We've had, I know that most of them have been cup games, but it seems like Glover's a bit of a clean sheet merchant, to be fair to him. But if he's playing, maybe we'll get a clean sheet. But it'll be hard for us. But I'd like to think, following on from the performance today, we'll back it up with a win. And I'll go 2-1. It won't be easy, but we'll get the job done.
Okay, and I'll go over 2-0 Boro win. I think we'll do okay on Boxing Day. We've just got to really start well. We have to start well, and in this type of game, I think the longer the game goes on, it'll be frustrating for us. And we've got the ability there to do it, but fingers crossed we can kind of turn it on, because when we're on it, we're really good. But I think it'll be a really difficult game for us. I really do. But I don't know. You never know. We might get the 3 points, and hopefully we get closer to the playoff spots again. But guys, that was it. Thank you very much for joining me as always. To the listeners and the viewers, if you're watching us on Twitter and on live, don't forget to subscribe to us as well on the podcast providers and on YouTube, and also to people listening and viewing us now on those platforms. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating, a thumbs up, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff. Helps get found, chatted, and maybe get us closer to the FCA Gold Award as well. We've got bronze, it's getting there, but we just want to get the gold. But for right now, Boro bag 3 points against the Baggies. Enjoy Christmas all. Merry Christmas from all of us at the Boro Breakdown. And it was all of you Boro match day chatter in a pod. Up the Boro Breakdown.